45 years. The first 40 were amazing, the last 5 difficult. It's difficult to feed, change, and bring someone to the potty every day. Jay Leno was terrible at articulating about sentiments, yet he never stopped loving someone. He moved from the stage to the peaceful house, glory to loss, and then back again, near the woman he had known since anonymity. A 1980 promise, a 50-year love. At 75, he finally articulated what the world wanted to hear. That confession's narrative will be disclosed. Jay Leno left The Tonight Show in 2014 and returned to his roots. The garage. Only motors and oil remained. No crowd or late-night set. Since 2015, he has focused on Jay Leno's garage, where he discusses his second passion, cars. His collection contains 180 historic and modern cars and 160 motorcycles, according to public documents. They include rare vehicles like the 1910 White Steam car, 1999 Y2K jet bike, 1966 Volga GS21, and 2012 Tata Nano, each with a story from his journey. The same place hosted his first significant trial. A little spark ignited the gas tank while servicing on an ancient car in November 2022. Jay was taken to the hospital for emergency treatment for severe facial and hand burns. Tried to clog, so I blew air through the line to see whether it clicked. A line, then bam. I instantly had gas in my face. My face burned when the pilot light jumped. In January 2023, a motorcycle accident shattered his ribs, kneecaps, and collarbone before he recovered. Doctors indicated a minor increase in speed may have had a much worse effect. Falling again in November 2024 broke my hand and injured my face. 2 years, 3 accidents. That series of misfortunes removed any idea of invincibility for a celebrity. He was not alone in need of care. During that time, his wife of over 50 years, Mavis Leno, began to weaken cognitively. A legal guardian was needed to manage her financial and medical decisions after doctors detected advancing dementia. In early 2024, petitioned the Los Angeles court for guardianship of their common estate. His complete management privileges were granted by the court in April. The decision went beyond legality. It was a turning point when love became survival and responsibility became the only devotional language. I adore taking care of her, Jay added months later in an interview. That sentence encompassed obligation, sympathy, and loneliness. I like spending time with Mariah. It's fine if I cook her dinner and watch TV at home. It's okay. It's the same as before, but I feed her and do other things. I like it. I like caring for her. His 2025 remarks ended a lifetime of keeping pledges from hospitals and legal paperwork. A confession everyone noticed. This road we go? I always took her when I could. We always had fun. Fun was always had. Like we're dating all the time. A lifelong confession. In 2025, Jay Leno spoke slowly in a live conversation. She was my beloved. Almost 50 years with the one lady he called my life. Shortened to 7 words. Mavis Leno is confused. She laughs when she hears his voice or sees old recordings, as if recollection returns. Jay stated in another interview that she remains passionate. Jay's lifestyle has changed drastically since his wife's illness worsened. To stay busy, he has cut his travels, declined long-term engagements, and accepted local events. He comes home on schedule, cooks, and watches old tapes with Mavis. Memory rituals are his way of preserving love. Now routines give her failing mind something to hang on to, not romantic gestures. He repeats stories Mavis has heard hundreds of times, knowing she won't respond. The Los Angeles court-approved guardianship agreement gives him financial and medical control. Jay considers it a necessary right, but not the main issue. He believes the most important thing is memories, which no law can safeguard or sign. He stated in a behind-the-scenes interview that their current home is quiet and rarely visited. Close friends say Jay wakes up early, eats breakfast, reads the paper, and walks with Mavis in the garden as usual. He keeps talking to her even though she doesn't know who he is. Jay still appears at 75, not to discuss fame or vehicles, although many of his friends have retired. But about Mavis, he closed a TV interview with, "Never thought I could be this lucky." It was now the statement of a husband who has experienced enough to cherish companionship, not a comedian. Formerly the face of America's laughter, he now loves in silence. Everything returns to the start after that. On a 1976 Los Angeles night, 2 strangers entered the room where one of Hollywood's most famous love tales began. Fateful moment. In January 1976, young stand-up comedian Jay Leno performed late at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Mavis Nicholson, his future wife, was there merely to meet television production pals, not for work. But that night, amid laughing and faint yellow lights, a single chat started an almost 50-year friendship. Jay once said, "When I saw Mavis, I knew I'd be with her." Later interviews revealed that Mavis wasn't seeking a romance. Her life was simple, writing and freelancing. However, that Comedy Store night altered everything. Jay chatted with her after his act and offered coffee. Talked until late. Mavis subsequently said, "We didn't plan. It felt natural." That connection happened so fast neither could describe it. It's kept them together since. Jay became pragmatic about marriage as their love progressed. He recounted his proposal narrative, "I had this insurance coverage," in a later interview. "We're covered if married." It seemed dry, but the explanation was a man's protective nature after learning to be careful with every dollar he earned. He worried that Mavis wouldn't have his insurance if he died. They married in a friend's house on November 30th, 1980. Jay kept family traditions by choosing the same day his parents married. Jay would answer for years that they had selected a little ceremony because they wanted to start a life, not an event. The wedding lasted less than an hour but started a 40-year marriage. The tale was also unusual. Both vowed to have no children from the start. Mavis told the Washington Post that she has felt estranged from typical definitions of women since childhood. She saw that ladies constantly had to sacrifice when watching The Honeymooners. At 8, she told her mother she would never marry or have children. Jay came to terms with it later. On a chat show, he said, "We didn't want kids, which made life easier. We had different freedoms." Jay toured America in the late 1970s. He traveled extensively, while Mavis maintained a routine in Los Angeles. She never disrupted his work and rarely attended his exhibitions. One instinctively sought the spotlight, while the other maintained daily life. Few people saw them together. Everyone in the industry knew Mavis' unobtrusive presence kept Jay steady. As Jay gained attention, they took their first exam. Tour schedules and stardom regularly interrupted their lives. They chose to live a quieter, more stable existence rather than let the spotlight overtake them. The shape of an enduring house emerged from that silence. Anchor in fame spotlight. Jay Leno's career peak began in the early 1980s. He was constantly touring and taping, rarely staying home for more than a few days. As the audience loved him, the pressure to perform well increased. As a quiet pillar, Mavis Leno avoided the spotlight. She handled finances, bills, and home routine so Jay could focus on work. They lived like a well-oiled machine. One danced with the stage, the other kept things on track. After Jay started appearing on TV, Mavis sought her own career. She was interested in women's rights, but action didn't take hold until the late 1990s. The Feminist Majority Foundation designated Mavis chair of the Stop Gender Apartheid in Afghanistan campaign in 1997. As the Taliban tightened power, the organization promoted Afghan women's rights internationally. The campaign extended nationwide with talks and huge fundraising events under her guidance. Mavis's work was unrelated to Jay's. They complemented each other. While Jay utilized humor to connect with people, Mavis used social media to spread empathy. Both gave $100,000 to the Feminist Majority Foundation in 1999. Afghan women could work and be protected thanks to the public funding of education and healthcare initiatives. The organization's director said at a meeting that year that they don't just donate. They show their, listen, and utilize their media influence to talk about what's important. Though they worked in different fields, Jay and Mavis shared a life philosophy. When asked about their childlessness, both replied the same. A decision, not a sacrifice. They married without a plan or obligation. Respect for each other's space kept them together. Mavis never envisioned marrying a famous comedian. Jay didn't make Mavis his public face. As Jay became the Tonight Show host in the mid-1990s, their private lives came under scrutiny. They kept their quiet existence. There were no grandiose parties or family displays. The pair only attended social events, such as women's rights and charity fundraisers. Nothing dramatic happened throughout their lives. This tranquility laid the groundwork for what followed. Jay once stated, "If I weren't on stage, I'd just be a guy fixing cars in a garage," in a rare marriage talk. She still loved me as that guy. Mavis never corroborated his words, but her lifestyle proved them. She advocated, read, wrote, and managed women's rights projects for nearly 2 decades without celebrity or title. They characterized their life between the bright lights of television and the tranquility of their Los Angeles home during this time. As fame peaked, turmoil increased. The world scrutinized Jay Leno's every move when he ruled television. Internal disagreements, airtime battles, and NBC's power struggles made headlines. Storms behind high glory. As the 2000 dawned, millions of Americans knew Jay Leno. His tenure at The Tonight Show began in 1992, and making it a late-night TV icon. Over 5 million viewers watched him interview politicians, singers, actresses, and regular people every night from their living rooms. The Jay Leno Show was more than entertainment. America did it daily. Jay became more than a comic. He was culturally significant. Every summit has turbulence. NBC agreed in 2004 that Conan O'Brien, Jay's logical successor, would take over the show in 2009. Everything was good until schedule conflicts pitted 2 generations of comedians against each other. Conan took over The Tonight Show in June 2009, while Jay got The Jay Leno Show at 10 p.m. 6 months later. Ratings fell. NBC moved Jay back to 11:35, shifting Conan's show to 12:05. Conan officially declined, saying, "I won't follow Jay at 12:05." The comment shook the industry and was echoed worldwide as an emblem of the American television crisis. The Tonight Show dominated national news for weeks. The public was divided between Conan and Jay. Internet condemnation poured in. Comedy forums fought. Jay never struck during the storm. He was on time, followed the same structure, and started each program with his smile. He stated, "I have no regrets," years later when asked about that time. One words, but enough to show how he saw the whole thing. No excuse, blame, or denial. It was the response of someone used to being watched every move and word. Mavis Leno avoided the media during the scandal. She chose silence. She knew every phrase may be misconstrued and that Jay needed a quiet environment. She continued working with the Feminist Majority Foundation, sometimes alongside him behind the scenes, before stepping back. They found calm in not explaining, not defending. Jay returned to The Tonight Show in 2010. He remained silent and focused on his craft during debate. Ratings settled. The show returned to late-night television dominance. He continued to work 5 nights a week without breaks in the years that followed. Few in Hollywood could maintain this beat. "Because I never saw it as a job," he added. "I do what I know best." This was when Jay rarely addressed Mavis. Respect was evident in everything he did. He said he solely listened to her recommendations. Though she never worked in television, Mavis discreetly guided him to balance work and life. He made millions laugh. She maintained calm in their shared universe. Their bond was subtle but clear. Jay retired from The Tonight Show in February 2014. The final transmission ended with long applause. Celebrities say him farewell. After thanking his audience and co-workers, he ended 20 years of late night with, "When I started, I was a kid with a dream. I'll let others dream." Jay appropriate goodbye without drama or passion. Short, friendly, direct. He exited the studio quietly after the lights darkened. One waited for Mavis behind the curtain. She was the first to greet him after every show and the last to congratulate him. Over 20 years in the spotlight, Jay's anchor never altered. The lights turned off, yet that foundation remained. Though the stage was stunning, Mavis, quiet from a woman who never sought attention, sustained Jay for years. By remembering that celebrity only resides in front of the camera, they survived every storm. True love is private. Jay Leno departed the studio with his usual smile after the ovation. Mavis was still there in their peaceful Los Angeles house, the one person he longed to see after every event. This video deserves a like if you think love is about honoring vows forever. Jay and Mavis Leno's story is quiet, powerful enough to silence the world. Share this video so more people can see that love stories survive fame and grief. Subscribe for the heartfelt, basic stories in every video.